Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. It is our lovely breakfast show. Welcome to iNDIE Breakfast Buzz. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Got the never-ending pouring cup of coffee started already. Delicious, delicious, delicious. Even though I don't drink coffee that often, but when I do, I wouldn't make it through this broadcast because I'd have to get up and go poop. Um, um, yeah, Randy is having some electrical issues this morning at out there in his neighborhood, and it's weird because I had a dream that there was no power here, and and that was like at, oh gosh, 8 o'clock this morning because I did wake up at 8:08, and then I said, oh sweet, I got more time to sleep. Those extra 20-30 minutes could be delicious, and then I woke up and then I seen that the world's falling apart. So
what happened now? Oh, never mind. It's 2020. I take it back. What is really the question? Because I know we're getting a hurricane down here in Florida, apparently.
Yeah, we're supposed to get a storm here in Michigan today too, but we'll see how that will the storm, Lola.
Severe thunderstorm.
Severe thunderstorm. So who knows? We don't know. I mean, we've been lucky in that we've never lost power here for more than like maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah.
20, 30 minutes, and but then again, today could be the day we're out for hours, days, months. Anyway, so yeah, this is the Breakfast Buzz you guys are watching. I'm gonna hit the intro, and then we'll come right back and talk comics. And I got questions. I've got things I want to talk about this morning. If you're listening on iNDIE Radio, stay in there with us, hang in there. And also, was there anything else? No, that's it. Here we go. Here's the intro, guys. Hang tight. Greetings, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. So yeah, first thing you'll notice is no Randy this morning. Instead, taking over Randy's spot for today is the creative comics devil and advocate, Mr. Rob Anderson. Rob, how's it going this morning?
It's going. I'm looking at the map for that radar for the hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to not come near Florida. Don't worry. Thing is parked right outside of the place I currently live, just about. I'm not worried at all. Why would I be worried? It's just 2020. What could go wrong?
Listen. 2020 is trying to prepare us. 2020, the earth is seeing that we become weak, and
the earth is trolling us this year. Give it to them all at once.
Yeah.
Like, this is the shit that would make Megatron and Optimus Prime work together. That's how bad it's gotten. Cats and dogs are now actually hanging out.
Yeah. It's pretty bad. Rob, I have a question.
Uh-oh. These never go well.
And it got sent to me last night. Let's pop to the chat real quick first, though. Marv says, "What's up? No wine today? No wine today, Marv? Oh man, that's
I'll wine all day if you want.
Marvy.
I'll wine. You just come to my channel later. I'll tell you everything that's going wrong in my life."
Trico says, "Morning, everyone." Glenn Ford says, "Hey guys." Larissa Boyard says, "Good morning, Larissa." Marvy says, here we don't have big storms like in the U.S. Hope things turn out okay. Yeah, the U.S., especially Florida, and the southern states, Louisiana, they get pelted. They get pelted pretty bad here. Morning, guys, says Glenn, and he says, we need a new planet. This one is clearly broken. It is. And joining us from powerlessness. Normally the man has powers. Today he's been zapped.
I have no power, and I'm free. Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Now, streaming may use your phone battery up. I don't want to do that. I mean, you'd have to go out to the car and try to charge your phone up.
I'm freezing up, aren't I?
Say again?
Am I freezing up?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're freezing like a
Let me try to walk up. outside.
Yeah, he's got a tower right down there by his house. Could be 5G. Dun-dun-dun-dun.
It might be a tower from a computer. You ever notice that if you're near the competitor's tower, your phone just suddenly stops working? It has to be your company.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Verizon tower.
Oh, you're in trouble.
Let me walk outside here.
And everyone's like, hey, your tower. Yeah, that's.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's a bit better. Yeah.
I can talk to you out here then.
He's like, nice backyard stream. Sit in the backyard and just hang out. Randy's got a huge backyard.
Yeah, in fact, when our power went out, I went to look over at the neighbors because they have a couple of lights on all the time in their basement. And the first thing I saw, I looked up in my tree, saw two squirrels going at it this morning in a cardinal way. I said, this is going to be a great day.
You're going to have more squirrels in your neighborhood in a few short weeks.
Yeah. So you're going to have 4 squirrels? Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of them now. Little ones running around.
Yep, more little squirrels. Yeah. Oh, now to top it all off, it's raining. Great. If I turn my camera sideways, will that do anything? No.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It made you widescreen. That's all.
Is that better?
We see more Zim now.
Now you see more of Zim's backyard, probably. More of my fat face. There we are.
So I got a question last night into it was for iNDIE Vote, but they sent it in during Geekgasm. And a guy said, and it was, I don't know how to put this. There's a term. I'll clean it up because he used the racial version of it. But there's too many captains, not enough soldiers in comics. He says that everybody wants to be a publisher. Everyone's told, go publish your own book. Not a lot of these people have the skill level or the ability to put out a book competently.
It's all part of being independent, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it is a learning process. It is a learning. How are you going to learn unless you ever tried yourself? It is not as easy as some things. It is not as hard as some make it out to be. Some people add layers of difficulty, in my opinion, that don't necessarily need to be there.
Yeah, some people go out and go whole hog and rent offices and get big spaces and have whole bullpens. Yeah.
I mean, I had a whole big bullpen, which is unnecessary. It was fun, but it was unnecessary. Having done that at some point, I've realized now, man, I didn't need that. That was hundreds of dollars a month for a better part of a year and a half that I could have put back into, books, and properties, and I didn't do that. I was, paying rent. I was paying light. I was paying, I had a light bill to pay with my rent, internet for the facility. What do you guys think about that? Should everybody be true? Should everyone at least go out there? I'm a proponent of everyone going out there trying it themselves first. But so they can get an understanding of what it takes to be a publisher. Am I crazy in that way, or should I readjust my thinking? What do you think?
Randy, you want to go first? Because I know you're having connectivity problems.
I think it all depends on how independent you want your independent comics to be.
Mm-hmm.
You start adding more people, you start being less independent. So it's all up to you, really. Safety in numbers, though. And it's always good to have a company, especially if you're dealing with Diamond, so that it looks like you're bigger than, just working out of your house. So you want to put on a company front if you're going to deal with Diamond.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people forget that. You're right. That's a good point. I mean, Diamond wants companies, right? Diamond doesn't want. I mean, you can always make your own little company, but I mean,
Well, plus the smaller you are, the easier it'll be for Diamond to push you around.
Yeah.
So you want that perception that you're pretty big and that you have, some nice. Diamond will know if you have nice numbers or not because they'll see your sales. But you want to make that impression that you're a company and that you're kicking lots of stuff out.
Yeah, and that's where strength in numbers helps.
Yep.
That's if you have to go to Diamond. Nowadays, you might not have to, but
no, not if you're crowdfunding.
There are so many people.
Well, you can't depend on convention sales right now. So
yeah, there's so many people hoping that Diamond comes back. Hoping. I think they're gonna be welcome back with open arms.
There's people out there hoping Diamond doesn't come back. So they will.
Right here, let's see here. Richard says no power equal no Wi-Fi. Well,
yeah.
Glenn says I'm not staying. Gonna go to bed. Have a good live stream. Fornicating squirrels.
Fornicating squirrels. Yeah, I don't know if they were fornicating or not. They might have been married. Who knows?
Natural and Rain escaped his basement. Rob, weigh in on that. What do you think?
First, I'd love to know what this person's creating because they're taking a big stance and they're having a big conversation. And I want to know what kind of creator they are because it's real easy to say those things without putting your money where your mouth is. And I hate people like that, who aren't actually walking the line that they're talking about. Second, I believe what Randy said is absolutely right. This is independent creators independently creating. No one's forcing anyone to read their books. Everyone should have the opportunity to go out and create what they want to create. So my curious question is, does the back of the email says at Gatekeepers 101 or Gatekeepers 201? Because that's exactly what that sounds like. This is America, okay? And if this is from someone outside of America, let me explain something about America. It's called capitalism. We get to do what we want to do, and then the audiences teach us whether we get to keep doing it or not. It's just that simple. Like Randy says, sometimes when we're doing this, it makes us noticed, and then suddenly you're working on a book like The Advocator. Suddenly you're on Indie Vault Radio, and you don't do that if you don't put out a single issue of a comic book because you're waiting for someone to come make your dreams come true. We don't wait for anyone to make our dreams come true. We start making our dreams come true, and we see where that journey takes us. So no, take down your front gate, stop telling people how to live, and spend your money how you want to spend it, but stop pointing at other people and saying they're doing wrong. Now, if you have someone that's doing harm, we can talk about that. That we're open to talking about here. But if they're just creating their books, let them create their books. They're not hurting you. This sounds like another creator who's jealous of someone who's getting ahead, and it's just they're burnt out or they're and I get it, man. There's a lot that goes on with comics. But don't take your bullshit out on everybody. Leave it alone. You know what I mean?
I've seen people attack.
Yeah, that's another problem. Yeah, pack mentality.
Yeah. I've seen people attack. Any stance you may have on what to do. I know someone who constantly puts up publishers and says, "Hey, everyone, what do you like?" So, like Last Call Comics, for instance. I think at one point on our site we had submission guidelines, and it just talked about how to submit to us and what you need to do. And I've seen people take submission guidelines, post them to their Facebook, and then say, "Hey, everybody, this isn't for me, but what do you guys think?" And then what they want to really do is have people shaking a finger at your companies. And on our site we have, shame on these guys. Shame on this. Shame on. I don't like this part. I don't like this part of the deal. And it really, again, I think I had a fair deal at one point. Eric says we live in a doers economy, and Marv says jealousy turns a lot of people mad. And do you think that's a case that we have like people attacking whole companies just because they're doing well? Like, oh, no one should sign with a publisher because publishers take all of your money and you don't need a publisher. I mean, like, having a publishing company does serve a purpose.
Having a company also naturally leads to gatekeeping too. And that could cause a lot of bad feelings, especially if you get a big company in a specific area and they don't let you in for whatever reason.
I'll say this. It's not about there are too many, and And it's the old term about the Indians. There are too many.
That's what he said.
It's true.
Too
Yeah.
many cooks. Too many cooks.
Yeah, or too many cooks in the kitchen, or whatever it is. It's always someone trying to mitigate things and put a control around them. And it's just not appropriate. Stay in your fucking lane. If you're not working with a publisher, you're not working with a publisher. Don't worry about people who are worrying about a publisher. Worry about the products of your book. Worry about living up to your promises to your consumer and your fan base. Remember, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles never needed anyone. This is our history in indie comics. What Randy would say, get an education, learn about independent comics. See what's happened out there. Stop pretending that you got into this 6 months ago and you know the entire history because you've been here for 6 months. This is older than all of us. Even older than Varian over there, the oldest guy on the panel, you know?
Yeah, right.
Everybody.
Old man Varian.
Old man Varian over there. You know, this has been going on for a bit, kids. Stop pretending that you're inventing it. And that because you showed up, things are suddenly going to drastically change.
Yeah.
It may, but you got to earn that right to be able to have an influence. And sitting around and saying, oh, however, there are too many people doing this, that just tells me you're paying attention to too many people and not enough about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Another question. This one comes from my favorite state of Maryland. Sorry, I've had some issues with Maryland lately. In the mail, I had 2 packages come from Maryland. Actually, one came from Minnesota, came to Michigan, then went to Maryland. I had another one start in Virginia and go to Maryland. They both sat there. They both sat in Maryland. So I recently got the packages, but still upset me. Guys, what do you think about this? This gentleman, his name is well, it's funny, his name is Jay-Z, but that's what he wrote his name as. Says that he was told by a publisher that they would not, they could not work with him, even though they like this comic. They could not work with him because they were a all ethnic studio. Now, if he wanted
gatekeepers,
if he wanted to let a person of a certain ethnicity draw his book, letter and color, he could do that. They could find a team for him to do that, and he could stay on as creator. But you know, that is it. He is not going. But you know, he was also not to go out and promote the book. It was going to be through them. What do you guys think about that? Is that I mean, I think that's BS. I think that if you create a book, you should have the ability to hire whoever you want for the book. So I mean, there's a story that kind of, when you think about what we just talked about with publishers, that's a guy who might want to put his own book out, find his own team.
Yep.
And I want to say something. I know this won't be popular, but if we took that same situation and flipped it around and said, well, you know, let's say he's a black guy, because this gentleman in this particular situation is white. Let's say he was a black guy and he got told, yeah, well, you know, your whole creative team needs to be white. Sorry. And you can't go out and promote the book, by the way. We're gonna whitewash this thing a bit.
Yeah.
He could have that company dismantled in, I mean, you know, a number of days just by complaining to the right people, which, you know, I wouldn't blame him.
Yep.
In this particular situation, I mean, you know, that's racist.
Very, I think in both situations that's racist.
Yeah, it is. Eric says, "Wow, racist." And what do you guys think about that? Is it? I mean, would you? We all have ghostwriters. I'm not. We all. I never had a ghostwriter. We've all heard of ghostwriters, but that's ridiculous. You're gonna have a. I mean, I guess they're not ghost team. They actually are doing the work. They're just pushing the creator into the background.
I'm gonna need to move to another location. The rain here is picking up.
Okay.
So I'm gonna hit the video and I can still talk to you.
Okay.
As long as I have signal, but I need to move.
Okay.
Get inside. And Varian, why are you asking the white guys? Like, that's the first thing you gotta ask. Like, you know, this doesn't end well because you said everything you said when we say it. We're how dare you, sir? How dare you do that?
I want to put something else out there too. that I thought about when reading it, and I asked another creator of color, and he told me, he says, I hadn't thought about that, but that's true. Okay, so you guys want to take this guy's comic, and you're gonna hire a artist of color, you're gonna hire a writer, a letter of color, colors of color, you're gonna hire colors of color. Wow. You're gonna hire all of these people, and you're gonna have the white guy in the back who has to do nothing but collect the check. You might want to rethink that from a appearance, from an optics situation. That's not
But right now, dude, that'll fly. You give it 5 years from now, when people start coming to their senses and realizing there's been divisiveness that's been pushed, and it's making us not get along. And there's no reason we can't get along. There's no reason we can't get past this. We watch all these shows like Star Trek. It doesn't matter what color you are. We got to get there. I'm not even trying to be campy. It's always what I believed. I grew up in New York. We all hated each other because we were all there, and we were all in each other's way. No one ever really cared too much about race as much there. And yeah, racism's a problem. We still got to deal with it. I mean, it's true. We have to deal with it. So in a moment like this, the knee-jerk thing is to say, oh, they're racist and they're that. You know what I really want to do? You know what I really want to do, Varian? I want to have them on the show and let them explain why they think it's important. Because maybe we're missing something. Maybe we don't know why they think that's important. And I'd want to hear from them, well, why are you doing your business model this way? Explain it to us. And maybe what they'll say will make sense, and maybe we can rally behind them. Mm-hmm. And maybe it will be like, wow. Or maybe when they explain it out loud, they'll go, I hear it now. I suddenly hear something wrong. But until we stop and have that conversation, we're really just being that guy over there who's talking about there are too many cooks, when we don't know if he's actually in the kitchen cooking at all. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, this is a business. You get to make those terms. Does it sound ugly on its surface? Of course it does, because you're judging a person by their color, and you're actually determining their worth by their color. That's always going to sound wrong when you frame it that way. But I don't know. Maybe they can frame it. For all we know, they're actually getting a government loan or a government subsidizing because they're a company that is actually hiring just minorities, and that really exists. And maybe hiring the white guy and putting him out front could cost them that government funding. We have colleges that are just for isn't there a college just primarily for black students, right?
There are colleges that have a large black student
and they get money and they get funding, and that there is a demographic that matters. So
I can understand that. And I would like to have them on the show. They can explain to me why their business model is such. Again, like you said, we're able to get behind them and rally that. Eric says, did he agree to those terms? No, Eric, he didn't agree to those terms. He was actually taken aback and angered and wrote in about it. He's out of Baltimore, Maryland. So he was
I would have taken that. It was a good story. Honestly, if it was a good story, I'd want to be part of creating it. I don't care if they put me in the back. If it made the fans happy, what does it matter? That's an ego thing again. You don't know. Me being in there, maybe that changes things. Maybe suddenly everyone gets comfortable working with me and policies start to change. You don't open doors by slamming them in someone's faces. You don't. We talk about Professor X and Magneto, and of course we know who they're based on. Martin Luther King and I was going to call him Professor X, Malcolm X. And we know at the end of Malcolm X's life, he suddenly realized that the militant way he was being wasn't working, and he started wanting to go towards Martin Luther King and helping him. And that comes through experience of life and change. And if you ever watch his story, it's an amazing movie. And it's a very telling movie. So we don't get to change things by constantly being negative Nellies.
Randy, either Randy's phone keeps fainting. It's like, Randy, you're muted. You're muted. And I didn't mute you. Oh, let me see if there you go.
Randy's like this.
Yeah, no, that was me. I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sign off so that you have a decent program.
No problem. We'll see you back soon. I hope your power comes back on.
As soon as I get power, I'll jump back in. They're saying it's going to be before 11. But you know how that goes.
Yeah.
The mechanic says your car will be done at 1 and it's done by 3,
3. Wait till the next day.
The next day.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. All right, guys.
All right.
I'll see you. Have a great show. I'll be listening.
All right. We'll see you later.
All right, later.
I remember the day that and you'll Rob, I speaking of cars, my first car, my mother had taken me to Montgomery Ward. For you young kids, that was a store in the mall. It was a anchor store in the good old days. Now they're a catalog. They're not a store anymore, but they used to have an auto. Like a lot of these places used to have an auto section out in front of the mall. They built a little small garage, and they give my car a tune up, and they gave my car a tune up. All right. What happened was me and mother over at the mall shopping, and we're like, hey, they haven't called us about the car yet. We get with Montgomery Wards, they're closed. They've closed their garage down. We're out there knocking. This guy comes around, looks at us like, oh, yeah, is there a problem? Yeah, my car was in there. You guys didn't call us or anything. He brings my car around. We jump in my car and we go home, considering the job done. She pays the man. It was a tune-up. It was, expensive. And we get home, and Monday or Tuesday, I'm driving, and then my car just shuts down on me. It just, careens to a stop. And I can't get it to turn over. I can't get anything to happen. The engine locked up. Why did the engine lock up? Because they forgot to do the oil. They forgot to put the oil back in the car. And, yeah, that was the first time that I heard my mother use a phrase that me and Lola joke about, which is I be effed. I be and it was very expensive. But I think Montgomery Ward either paid half of it, or they may have paid for the entire repair. I'm not sure.
Well, they're on the hook at that point.
Yeah. You didn't put oil back in my car.
There's no getting around that one.
Yeah.
Not unless you get the guy who like puts it up on the hook, puts a screwdriver through the oil thing, and goes, you had a giant hole since you drove from me, and it's big enough to get rid of all your oil suddenly.
Trico says, in defense of mechanics, usually something is seized up, rust, or the parts place lied about it when they have the part to you.
I don't know how that's in defense of mechanics. That's not like condemning them.
You can't defend the mechanic. No, I've met some good mechanics. In fact, I'm gonna have Trico come work on my car because Trico is funny. Trico's a mechanic. He's a history professor. I don't understand how he has all these jobs, especially.
It's like, the mind. Kidding around aside, it's the mind. Like a lot of teachers have this wonderful steel trap of a mind. They like to explore different things, and it just interests them.
Well, I know this. If the zombies start to rise, I gotta go save Trico. he's got like all these, like, it's like an RPG. Let's see. He's got mechanic skill. He's got it's like Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, he could be a mage and an engineer. Sweet. All right. I'm getting him.
Wouldn't Trico be saving you though? Let's be honest.
I'm gonna be blithering. I haven't acquired the what is it? When you start a car illegally.
Hot wiring skill.
Hot wiring skill. Yeah, I haven't acquired that yet.
I don't know why. That's just a word I know. That's
we have to get Luke Stone to teach me that. Ooh.
Good pastor. Calling the good pastor, please come hotwire my car.
Marv says, I'm washing the dishes, but I'm hearing you. I agree with everything you said. Back to the dishes. And Trico says, former mechanic. No. Once a mechanic, always a mechanic. I
got a funny story for you.
Mm-hmm.
So my ex, I moved down, and when I first got hurt with the back injury, I didn't know if I'd ever be able to drive again. When I first started physical therapy, I couldn't move my right ankle. And of course, everyone knows that's how you drive.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do it. Took me months actually a year and a half to get to the point where I felt like I could drive again.
Mm-hmm.
So we come down, we move to Florida. I buy this car. And the whole time I'm like, we have a minivan for her because she's been driving it because I haven't been able to drive. So we move down here. I get this car, Malibu Max. Car I always wanted. Can't explain it. I just love Chevys. I don't love the hatchbacks. I'm just because that has the hatchback. So I get this car. Suddenly she wants to start driving it because Jackson's always with me. That's why I always had the van with me. So we get divorced. They swap the cars on us because of asset arrangement. I get the car back and it's instantly got problems. And one of the things I noticed was it had a tire rod issue. I did tires for a living at Costco for 2.5 years of my life. I am certified in all the ways that you can be. I'm part of a tires association thing. I know more about rubbers than most people ever will. Both you wear and the ones that you put on your car. So I know a lot about rubbers. So I bring it to the shop, and I still have a warranty. It's at CarMax, and I tell them, I'm like, hey, there's a tire rod issue. I'm not shitting you, Varian. For a year almost, they kept cycling my car. They replaced my brakes 5 times because they would not believe me. Do you know that they sent my Chevy to a Chevy dealer? And can you guess what the Chevy dealer said was wrong with the car?
The rod?
A tire rod. They were putting me in loaners. I'm not kidding you, I drove 10 renters from CarMax. And it's not like a rental car where you have the insurance, you crash it, you don't care. This is something they're going to sell again. So you're being careful with that. Yeah. It's like borrowing your friend's car, more than it is a rental. But again, like, you just have these mechanics. And I had that a lot when I did tires. You get the guy who worked at Pep Boys. Now, Pep Boys, they call themselves mechanics. I guess it's like when a person calls themselves a writer. It's just, you can call yourself it all you want. It does not make you a writer.
You know, I was Pat says, are you saying tire rod?
Yeah, tire rod.
Is it tire rod or is it tire rod?
Tire rod, like a literal rod that actually goes to your control arm. Is
that an axle?
No, axle is underneath your car. Like, you have the axle, and then you go to 2 different points. There's a control arm, and then there's a tire rod itself. The tire rod is supposed to hold the tire literally in place. That's its job. And then your control arm is part of that underneath it, which controls your it's why you get your alignment. It controls your alignment of your wheel.
Yeah, it's a tie rod. And Track goes, it's tie rod. Is it? You know what? I've said them both because I'm like that. No, what else have I said? I used to work at General Motors. I used to have to drop the torque converter, and there was I remember this guy coming to me, my boss. He says, Varian, if you bang another one of these the insides of these transmissions, because they were getting dents in them, I'm sending you home with the balance of the shift, meaning I wouldn't get paid, and they would take out from my check the rest of the day because I apparently damaged parts. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, I'm dropping this I'm dropping this torque converter in there as easy as I can for a little shake. It falls down in place. I release the arm and pull the arm out, and it looks like this thing looks like a big beefed up version of like Iron Man's reactor. Basically, it's huge. The part I was putting in, and he comes by and he's like, "You do it again, you're going home." So I'm like, "It's not me. I don't know what you're talking about." So then I get like 4 blue shirts, engineers, Trico. They come down there and they look at me like this, and they're just watching me. I don't know if anybody's ever worked on an assembly line, but when you got these 4 guys sitting there watching you, it's the most, like, you're sweating. Like, what am I doing something wrong? Anyway, they went off the casing where the case comes out of the machines, and they found the problem was down there. I never got an apology. Even though I got threatened to be sent home, I never got an apology, which is not how it is in comics, where I totally mess up everything. And I have a book that has several misspellings in it, and it's all my fault. But I got off the subject. I'm sorry.
But you know the golden rule of management, right?
Deny.
No, it's not the manager's fault. If it is the fault of the manager, refer to the first rule of it not being the manager's fault. And it's always the third rule is it's always somehow the employee's fault for having caused the issue that made it the manager's fault. For therefore, it is the employee's fault.
Well, yeah, you worked in retail for a while. See, I remember my problem with Toys R Us, because I was a glutton for punishment working in Toys R Us. It was always, like you said, it was always the employee's fault. But also, I thought it was really weird because they'd come to us and slap these paper down. We're gonna make $60,000 today, and I'm like, who makes these wishes? Who decides? You know what? Today seems like $100,000 day, and it was our fault. It was if we didn't make $60,000 that day, it was our fault. But yet
You don't realize it, do you? They conditioned you, Varian.
conditioned me.
You feel like you had to make that. It's a manager trick.
Yeah.
It's a Jedi trick. Today we're going to make 60. The whole day Varian's going around. We have to make money. Let me see that girl will buy this thing.
Yeah.
And you're trying to push for this number. You know, you get the guy. There's always that one employee who knows better, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, we'll make what we're gonna make. You just go do you." And he's the guy. He's like Randall from Clerks. He's just there. He's like, whatever.
Well, I eventually became him because the last time I worked there seasonally, I took some days off because and I remember I went to work and they were like, "Varian, where have you been? You know, we could fire you." You know, and I said, "That's understandable, guys." I said, "Look," I said, "if you got to fire me, I understand. You know, I've got income. I'm just doing this job now at this point to be, you know, closer to because Lola was working there. I'm like, you know, I just wanted to work with her for a change, but I can go home. It's not a problem." It was very weird. I felt this shift in the power structure. Like, what? I can leave. It's not a problem. You guys can get somebody else in here, and all of a sudden I could do what I wanted. I took the power from them. I have though incorporated that to my poor booth girls. Lola will tell you. Lola, I woke up some convention mornings and said, "What? We need to make how much? Like 4,000 a day." You're like, "You don't have $4,000 worth of material on the table. What are you talking about? I don't care how you make it. Just make $4,000." Do you do that for the year? Do you know how much you need to make for the year in comics?
Yeah, it's called money. And if it's good, it's comics, dude.
You don't set up a
budgets. There is no like. This is like, let's hope I make money. You know, like,
I'm pretty sure. I know Trico. Trico, did you set up how much you need to make in a year to make it profitable? You too, Pat. I mean, Pat is he's a promoter of a convention, and now he's got a book. He's basically you know, I always thought it would be this way. The progression of it would be this way: come into comics as a fan, make a book, own a convention. Pat's doing it backward. Pat's running a convention. Now he's putting out a comic. You know, Pat, what are you gonna do next? Oh, Pat says profits.
Yeah, what is this word you're talking about? You're good if you break even over a year. The whole goal is to get like someone to pay you to do this in Hollywood. I thought that's why we're all here, right? It's all about Hollywood and getting our movies on Netflix.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that Hollywood deal.
Yeah, this isn't about comics. Come on, we're all just here for our scripts. We're really screenwriters hiding behind comics. You know?
Like comics, I can't wait to turn my back on them.
My name is Rob, and because I'm saving Anderson for my real passion of writing novels, just like Stan Lee. I mean, think about it. The biggest figure in comics that everyone prays to wouldn't use his real name. I mean, you guys got to understand that's where we live. Is the guy that most of you idolize was like, I'm saving that for some serious work.
I'm gonna hold off on being well, it's too late for me. I'm Varian Grant. Everybody knows it. But maybe when I do my when I do my book, I'll pull the Wachowski brothers and I'll come out as the real me. Actually, no, I keep making jokes. I haven't sent it to anybody else. I haven't sent it to anybody in a couple of months now, but in Walmart, they have skin lightening soap.
You're not getting it.
Yeah, and I keep putting it in my cart and walking around and seeing if Lowe's going to catch it coming out the cart. Because I'm like, you don't understand. You're standing between me and success. If only you let me get the skin lightening soap, I can make things better. It'd be great. Terrific. Credit score improves and everything. It comes, you know, each bar comes with a different credit score. It comes with a different, it comes with a sheet. He's gonna hold up a book and just Trico says, I usually figure my break-even point fixed cost divided by margins, but I've never dared to dream to make money. Yeah. See,
we do have a break-even point, though. We all do. We just don't talk about it out loud. It's like Beetlejuice. If you talk about it, it shows up, but in reverse. If you talk about it, it doesn't show up. It's the reverse of a Beetlejuice. If you say I have to make, like, at the end of last year, I was like, the beginning of this year is going to be great. 2020 is going to be my year. Everything's going to go good. I have 12 cons set up before June. We're going to go into the summer super hot. You see what happens, Varian, when you talk about even trying to obtain success in comics. This is all because everyone thought that 2020 was going to be a good year for comics. Look what's happened, Varian.
Yeah, we all had plans. I feel like the Joker. They all had plans. But see, now they don't have plans. I tell them one convention's gonna cancel. It's all part of the plan. Chuck says, if this is breakfast, I need to keep sleeping in until noon. What's up, guys? Yeah, I try to sleep in until noon, but I was drug out of my bed. Drug up to do the work. Now, I do have another question for everybody here. Chuck wants to have you not burn the book for heat yet. I would like to ask a question to everybody who's with cons now. Like, I think what's the con? Was it Amazing Con in Las Vegas? Saying okay, we're not doing our show. Canceling with 2020. 2021 is what we're all looking forward to now, I guess. I know we got some conventions that are scheduled late in the year. Excuse me, some October, November shows that everyone's kind of hanging their hopes on. You think that's wise? And that's a question from Indie Vote Radio. Is and I think we answered this before. Are we all hanging our hats on and our hopes on cons returning this year? I hope a couple of shows, especially local ones, are gonna happen. I know that the show that Pat is a part of, they're going. I think they're gonna try for later this year, October. I know that Grand Rapids Comic-Con is a November show. What do you guys think? I mean, I think it's all part of too. Like your governor, our governor, Big Gretch, who's making headlines everywhere. By the way, not just for being hot too. She is. She's totally. She's like, oh my god, she's hot. What do you guys think about like what if your governor comes and says no more than 22 people gathering? I mean, if you're if you were Michigan Comic-Con put on by Imaginarium last year, 22 people is not a problem. That was about who came to the door. But if you're a show like C4, like Grand Rapids Comic-Con, a big show, 22 people, you can't do that. I mean, what's
the celebrities are, how we've always called the people showing up celebrity fuckers. Yeah, that just might be what has to happen at these exclusive shows. That might be the only way to make the money now. Celebrities are going to have to really get into their performances going forward.
Ooh.
Yeah. Come join us for an exclusive two-person gangbang of your favorite celebrities.
I would I told you guys yesterday, Amanda Bynes is gonna be there. Here I come.
Oh no, she's a car wreck now.
Yeah.
I feel bad for her. I see her and I'm like, that should just be the slogan right there. Don't put your kids in acting. Look what happens right here.
She's pregnant. She's pregnant.
Yeah, but we don't know what's going to come out. That's the problem. It could be a raccoon. Just why are you pregnant with a raccoon, girl?
If it's a raccoon, I have nothing to do with it. I'm telling you guys. I mean, I know I wear the hat, but it's not me. I wasn't there. I was back before she went crazy though. I thought she was the hottest thing in the world. I tried to buy it. The guy must thought it was weird. Does anybody remember Stephen Barry's? It was a store. They had like really cheap T-shirts.
Yeah. Okay, it was at the mall at Roosevelt Field in Long Island. I think I know what you're talking about.
They had Amanda Bynes had a clothing line there, and right when they're getting ready to close, and I remember I went in there and I told this guy, I said, "Hey, how much for that Amanda Bynes poster? Will you guys get through with it? Oh no, we got to send that back to We got to send that back to corporate. So when they were announcing they were closing down, I came and said, "Hey, how much for the Amanda Bynes poster now?" And I was like, "You still have to send it back to corporate. I don't think they want it. You guys don't even have corporate anymore." And Gavin thought it was weird because
the store managers are all the corporate leaders.
he's like, "No, we can't sell it." I'm like, "I just want the life size Amanda Bynes poster. I still would have had it right here, but they wouldn't sell it to me."
What you didn't know, Varian, is that he was obsessed with her.
Yeah.
And that was his like only thing when the store was closing that he got to keep.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted that poster, man. I wanted a customer. They wouldn't sell it to me, but yeah, the store manager probably was obsessed with her and needed her too. I get it. Trico said I hit that. Not Amanda, Big Gretch, I believe. Big Gretchen Whitmer. Pat said shots fired. Yeah, Michigan Comic Con was last year, 2018. Was that 2018 or 2019? Was horrible. There was, I mean, literally, I took pictures of it. I walked out into the celebrity area, and that was empty. When the celebrity area doesn't have lines, there's a problem. And it was bad. Trico says Stephen Bears is awesome. Yeah, they were awesome, but I mean they're gone now. Marv says, question: if a small indie publisher becomes big, does it mean it stops being indie, or as long as they are a creator owned, they will always be indie?
Again, how do you define indie? How are we gatekeeping the word indie? Who's making the rules about what is indie? And let me ask you a question. I got one for you, Marvy. Why are there two I's in indie? I'll wait here. Seriously, explain the extra I. Anyone can do that. I will be super impressed. I have an idea, because there's certain people out there trying to gatekeep and trying to keep other people down. So the I stands for only me. And there are certain people who'd like to do that stuff. Just make it about them and the things they want to do.
I think the I thought it was always because we're gonna die in here, but it just flipped it around. Die.
It's right. It's iNDIE. It's the people who believe that if they follow everyone, buy my book, do everything in my book, because I didn't tell you the real things you need to know to make it ahead. I gave you just enough to think you'll be successful, but not enough to push you through, because I held that stuff for me and my friends.
Trico said both Gretch and Amanda at the same time. That's greedy, Trico. That's greedy. That's greedy. That's greedy. That's greedy. But
that's like a kill, fuck, die thing, you know? Like that's no,
man, Gretchen is so hot. I'm sorry.
Too much time inside, like it's getting to you.
It's like
I don't understand, Varian. You have low. Like what you have, right?
She you know, no, Gretchen is hot. Gretchen Whitmer is hot. I tell you this, I did not know until recently, and talking to some creators, I did not know what con hot was.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know there was a con hot. Like, she's
the table too much. That's what I think's happened with you and Gretchen.
Yeah.
The table too much, and now it's like I ain't been out to see them really hot cosplayer girls that barely wear clothing. And you know you should kick them out of the convention, but really I just want to see them come back and try harder. Really, like that is like hot. And then there's like 4 days into a very slow show, and there's this girl. You know, she's not unattractive, but you know, like the nice way to say it is that, you know, Adele was never an ugly woman, but Adele just, when she lost all that weight, Adele made a lot more people's fuck list. I'm just saying it's true. That's con hot, where, you know, I could get to know that girl, like, but I'd have to see, like, does she have a gym membership? What's going on? I'm sorry, it's just true. It's just true. That's kind of
Trico says another week of quarantine and Honey Boo Boo's mom is gonna start looking good. And
did you see Honey Boo Boo's mom lost weight?
Yeah, man. And then Pat says that Gretchen is Caitlyn Jenner's twin. I'm offended. I need to have a break. I need to decompress.
I have no comment about that.
I'm gonna go
mess with the alphabet people. The alphabet people don't play around. They'll come for your career and leave with your career. Nope.
Yet here we are skirting the line between the you know what I used to call the CIA, FBI. I used to call them the alphabet boys. Because it's how kids in the hood learn how to say the alphabet: FBI, ATF. But we knew then who they were. Come with a big yellow.
Bad humor.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
back.
back.
I'm back.
You have power.
I do. Just kicked on. Took a minute for the internet to grind up, but other than that, it's all good.
Sweet.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
I actually worked today. Yes.
Yeah. Gretchen Whitmer, hot or not?
No,
What?
not even remotely.
You just don't like her. Because she cost you money. That's what it is.
Well, no, honestly, I voted for her because the guy that was coming in was the Republican guy coming in was Snyder's personal pick, and Snyder had screwed Flint so bad with the water situation that he's still using lawyers to duck it.
So,
And he'll never be pegged with it, but that's
so it wasn't so much that you voted
the money talking
for Whitmer. It wasn't so much you voted for Whitmer. You voted against Snyder.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how Trump got in. So everybody voted against Hillary, and there's Trump. So, but anyway, we're not here to be political.
Marv says, I still don't know what Comics Gate is. All I know is they eat their own and turn on each other. When it comes to indie comics, what I understand is as long as the creator keeps his rights, he is indie. And then
I can explain Comicsgate real quick.
Okay, do so. I'm going to run to the I'm going to run to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
All right. So here's Comicsgate in a nutshell, and it's real simple. People got tired of being told that they had to create a certain way and getting kicked out of the industry for not believing what everyone else was telling them that they had to believe to create comics. So they created their own little community, and every community has growing pains. And yes, some of them are assholes in there. But they're assholes in every community that creates comics, in every part, in every facet. They're assholes in Marvel, assholes in DC, assholes in Image. There are people who do bad things. There's more negativity written about Comicsgate than Comicsgate itself actually does, outside of a group called War Campaign. Now, War Campaign is painted as the entire Comicsgate movement, which is false. That, in a nutshell, is Comicsgate. You want to know more? Randy can educate you.
You take the whole of the cartoon universe, every cartoon that you ever know. War Campaign is Beavis and Butthead. And they're at that mentality. They want to pick on people. They're there to... sure, they work as attack dogs to some of the anti-CGers. But most of the time, they're just pulling little immature stunts, putting dildos on... people's heads with Photoshop or little goofy memes like that are meant as kind of a poke. So if you don't have a sense of humor, you're going to hate the War Campaign. But the War Campaign is the most vocal, especially if you pay attention on Twitter. The real key on that is not to take anything that's on Twitter remotely seriously. That's the true key, and to understand, like Rob said, that there are all kinds of different people in Comicsgate. Comicsgate is really, once you look at it, and you have to look at it, you have to get an education, like we keep stressing on this podcast all the time. Don't take our word for it. Don't take Joe Blow's word for it, or any other idiot who wants to write a stupid, inane book. Don't take their word for it as to what this business is about. Go out and learn for yourself. Listen to us. Listen to other people. There's a ton of phenomenally great podcasts out there where you can glean, and you have to glean. You have to take it with a lot of salt. Some of these guys you have to take with more salt than others. Research and knowledge about this business. And like Rob said before, when earlier this podcast, when we were on the air, you can't just jump in for 6 months and decide the end all in this business, because really you don't. You think you do. And back when I was 6 months in, a year in, 2 years in, I thought the same thing. I have a lot of burned bridges, people that I just flat out told off because I didn't have much of a social filter when I was younger. I still hardly have a social filter now, which is why doing these podcasts are really cool, because I can, while we're talking, I can check myself if I have to. But you really, really have to get out there. Yeah, and it's more than your little local clique. It's more than your little local publishing company. It's more than the mainstream, and it's everything out there. This market, this art form, is amazingly wide and vast and more diverse than what you imagine or think it is, especially if you're in the closed blinders of a lot of these. You can't even call them liberals because they're not thinking liberally. quite honestly. The progressives who want to push a silly agenda. You have to get out there and understand comics are really a communication form, and the more people out there communicating, the greater this art form is going to be. From every aspect, every angle, every. And that you should be out there absorbing everything if you want to be in this business. Now, Marv, if you want to learn more about Comicsgate, all you have to do is go back a couple of weeks on, say, Comic Artist Pro Secrets or Comics Matter with your boy Zach. And every once in a while, they will go through and give the history of Comicsgate. And it's nasty, it's dramatic, and seriously, 3/4 of the hate, probably 4/5 of the hate, I would say, is coming from outside in towards Comicsgate. Once you realize what Comicsgate is, it's just a group of guys and girls, a group of talented, sequential artists who just want to entertain people. And they want to entertain people without a direct political message or a direct religious message. They just want to do entertaining comics.
Trico says, Gretch makes me think of the strict principle on my role-playing fantasies. Track D wanted attention. Pat says, seriously, look at them side by side. Gretchen and Caitlin look very similar. Marvy says,
Caitlin who?
Caitlin Jenner.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Marvy says, am I thinking right or am I wrong? Rebel says, hell, Rebel, hell.
Hail.
Trico says, in the whole of the cartoon universe, I want to be Johnny Bravo.
No, you don't.
And Jay says, late, but I'm tuned again. Hey, Jay, how's it going? Good morning. Trico says, I'm probably more like Charlie Brown, though. I know Lola sounds like Charlie Brown's parents when she's yelling at me about something.
I can think of who really fits Johnny Bravo if you look at that. You can't you won't see Johnny Bravo on. I'm surprised that they might even be running them on Boomerang anymore.
I'll say this real quick. Don't be like a cartoon character. Be your own cartoon character.
Be your own person. That's the key to doing these podcasts.
It's your metaphor, Randy. I'm trying to stay in your metaphor. Be your own cartoon. Make a Trico cartoon. Make a Zimmy cartoon. Make a kid cartoon of yourself. Make the Comics Devil cartoon.
I have a Zimmerman cartoon. His name is Tipsy.
I have a monkey. I have a monkey that I draw that's actually me. So,
real quick, guys, if you haven't went out yet and saw these, pick these up from Legion's Arts. They should be available in your local Walmart right now. Comics at Walmart. Who would have thought? We've got
Plus, have you pushed Cat Dad and Supermom yet?
I will. That's going to be next.
Okay.
We've got Bass Reeves, The Futurist, which I haven't got a chance to read yet.
I haven't sat and read that yet either. It's the only one I haven't read yet.
Red Rooster.
Yep, that was good.
And Nora Saga.
Yep.
Which was right after Bass Reeves for me to read. So Nora Saga, we got that, and we'll have I'm gonna put reviews up. Health permitting. Yeah. Looks like
make a round table with all the creators that got the books. Let's talk about the books.
Randy, do you have your books handy?
I don't have them within arm's reach. They're upstairs. So. As soon as the electricity come on, I come running down here, and then I had to run back upstairs and kick the modem a couple times. And
I do like the idea of handing to each other. Like, here you go. Yeah. I'll hand down to Rob. I'll do the don't rush thing. There you go, Rob. We'll have to do it this way. Here you go, Rob.
All right.
Wrong side. That's good try.
We'll get it.
All.
Yeah, we'll figure it out one day.
We'll make it work.
Isn't it amazing the videos popping up on YouTube now with people with way too much time on their hands?
It is.
Fighting each other and getting all dressed up and stuff. That's fun.
Marv says, seduction of the innocent movement almost killed comics. Why this hate in the comics world today? It's all political. Unfortunately, we've let politics into the industry. We've let people's ability to kind of gatekeep.
Marvy, I don't know how your politics work where you're at, but over here in the States, it kind of works as a gigantic pendulum, and it swings from side to side. And right now, we are on a far progressive swing on a lot of stuff that's fighting a far right swing that's, and both sides, quite frankly, are totally ridiculous. You know, and right now we're looking at here in Michigan, we're under such a strict lockdown that you've got people threatening and committing violence because they're too tired of being told what to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's crazy times. That's why we talk about Gretchen Whitmer. And when we talk about Gretchen Whitmer, and here's something you will never ever unsee, right, Varian?
What's that?
Next time you see Gretchen, look at those eyebrows. Those are the eyebrows of evil.
Those eyebrows are hot.
Those eyebrows go down and in, just like any other cartoon character.
Yeah.
They're like, I can't even make my eyebrows do it, but they're like way up like this.
She's got them arched that way.
And she's got this constant evil look on her face that really instills like fingernails down a chalkboard on me.
You know, you guys are just mad because she's hot. And
Art is subjective, so is beauty. So
you guys are just mad because she's hot. She's ready to kick her butt. And in my opinion, I've seen that look before. I've seen it.
I have too, but in my nightmares.
I've seen it. I'll show you where I've seen it before and why I think Gretchen could get it. And I'll show you guys right now. I was conditioned.
You know, we don't hear anything about the Florida governor, right? Is that DeSantis? That's not DeSantis, is it?
It's because I don't think he's in control. He's like a puppet for anyone who wants him to do anything. He just, one day it's like, we're not closing the beaches. The next day, they're like, we're closing the beaches.
I got to say, buddy, that is a really far stretch there.
So hot.
Really far. Yeah. So that looks more like Denise Richards to me than Gretchen Whitmer.
Michael Turner's conditioned me to like Gretchen's eyebrows. Wow. They point and work there.
Randy, I think we need to have an intervention for Varian. I think,
it's just the quarantine. It'll go away after a while.
I mean, Sarah Palin, let's just be honest. Yes, she's hot.
Until you start anyway. Listening to her for a while.
Lisa Ann is hot playing Sarah Palin.
How many times have you guys seen a girl across the room and you have this relationship where you fall in love, and by the time you get across the room and actually talk to them, you're like, never mind. I didn't realize that you weren't a human. Oh, Varian's getting breaks ears.
He's getting an earful from Lola right now about his
not hot.
About his obsession. Yeah. She is not hot. At least we didn't see a shoe fly this time.
Shoe fly don't bother me. Anyway, Trico says I will totally hit it with Sarah Palin. See, yeah.
Okay. The only thing this has got to do, Sarah Palin has to do with comics, is every time they refer back to her saying about lipstick on a pig. I keep seeing Priscilla Pig walking around.
I'm pretty sure
from Looney Tunes.
Blue Water put out a comic about her.
I'm sure they did.
And
a few porns back in the day, which I'm sure you saw.
This will piss Randy off from Indie Vault Radio. This will trigger Randy, and I thought about not reading this on the air today, but I'm going to read it.
If you weren't here, Randy, you would have never done this. So this.
No, I know. He likes to see me get mad and jump on a soapbox. That's what it is. It's good for ratings, I think he thinks.
All right. So.
I'll try not to be triggered.
Yeah. This is Brian from Texas.
Brian from Texas
writes, he feels that Alterna and Peterson had these ideas for comics are dangerous. They make comics look like cheap, throwaway material that won't be taken seriously by the customer base,
by the aficionados.
By the aficionados of comics, because they're cheaply produced, and he also goes on to say that also Peter lets too much information out there to the masses. If they know that he's paying 80 cents per book, there's no way that.
Heaven forbid we actually talk about the internal workings of comicdom.
Yeah, that's what Brian had a problem with. Let me go first. Let me go first.
This like goes back to what Rob was saying earlier about being in the business for 6 months and thinking that you know everything.
Well, we don't know how long Brian's been in the business, but I will say this. Yeah. I make a lot of jokes about newsprint. I make a lot of jokes about newsprint. Frankly, because I grew up with a lot of newsprint comics, but we've since gone on to slicker, better quality paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I joke about newsprint, but I mean, there's newsprint. There's levels of newsprint. I've seen some comics that are on newsprint that are printed well. The alternative books are printed well. They're not printed to be cheap material. Now there are people who are printing cheap newsprint comics. There's cheap newsprint comics out there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not pretend there isn't.
Yeah.
But Peter letting people know how much it costs him per unit. Peter doing that. I think he's trying to actually help where he can. Peter still has a business to run. You gotta keep that in mind. He's a businessman. He still has a business to run. Mm-hmm. But I do not. I will say this, Randy. Do you think that? Well, I'll let you guys first. Go ahead and tell me what you think about that.
What we think about what you said, or what
about what Brian wrote.
Brian, I understand your viewpoint. I really do, because there is a collector's market out there that wants books to be expensive, that wants books to go up, that wants books to be looked at as high art, and comics are high art. Don't get me wrong, but there is also another school out there, one of older history, which I'm sure Peter is more than well aware of, as to where comics come from. Those collectors that you're in, Brian, the ones who like slabbing books, who pay attention to the little number in the corner on the book they can no longer open, that they can throw across the room, the ones that go out and buy the bags and boards, those folks are quickly becoming my age, and they are not going to be on this earth for much longer. There is the new audience that's coming up in comics has to have a ramp into comics and doing slick books, doing expensive books. Even the route that DC is thinking about going is not going to attract a younger, accessible reader. Comics have always been, up until the 80s, they have always been a lower class art form, and they've always been looked at as a lower as kiddie stuff from the 50s on, and even before that, they were always considered to be children's literature. But if you go back to the true origins of comics, the reason why the comic market was so big and so huge back during the golden age in the 30s, and that is because they were printed on newsprint. They were incredibly cheap, incredibly bright, incredibly flashy, and did all sorts of crazy, crazy things. And they tried literally every genre in the 40s and 50s. When the war ended, superheroes really became passé, and they were looking at every different kind of comic out there in order to keep that readership rolling, because they were selling millions, multiple millions. Captain Marvel Adventures, the Shazam Captain Marvel, not the Marvel Captain Marvel. The Shazam Captain Marvel at one point was selling almost 4 million copies every other week. And at 10 cents a hit, that's a lot of money. Nowadays, you can't sell comics for 10 cents. Nowadays, you can't technically, and there are some business practices that Peter does that I don't agree with, as far as when it comes to cover price. And I understand the retailers' hesitance on carrying alternative comics and giving them the same shelf space, because they're only $1.99 when the cover price for Marvel and DC is $4.99. But Peter is out there trying to gather readers. He's trying to get people back into reading comics a lot more than collecting comics, even though he is very, very picky about the printers that he uses and the type of quality that they get coming out of the print house, because he knows that the collectors are out there looking at that kind of thing, and that he does do a collectible market, but he does a very small priced widget. He likes keeping the price low because he would rather have you buy 2 or 3 Alterna comics at the same level as you're buying an expensive Marvel or DC floppy, because he's giving you more story, more content, more entertainment that way, for the more bang for your buck. Quite frankly, the cliche goes.
Marvy says Alterna has great comics with great stories, art, and it's printed on newsprint. I love them for that. I can't say the same about the big two. I have to wonder though. I mean, let's be honest here. Rob, did you get a chance to weigh in on that?
Probably not, because I got yapping.
Go ahead.
No, no. Well, first off, I'm a little curious. Why does it matter that he's paying 80 cents? Do you think when we print a comic, that's the only cost we had? Did you forget about the editor who needs to eat and get paid? Did you forget about the artist who was part of that? Did you forget about the writer? I hate these people who sit and look at numbers and go, "Oh, well, if you only paid 80 cents, I should only pay $1 for it." You're the same idiots wearing Nikes for whatever Kaepernick that gets made in a sweatshop for 10 cents a pair of shoes, and you're paying $115 for it. But then you look at comics and you want to take out the calculator and see what it's worth it or not for you. You pay $10 for a goddamn unicorn freaking Starbucks thinks it's got glitter in it. Your shit's going to look like glitter, but that's okay. But you don't have $5 for a comic book that'll entertain you? Come on, stop being an asshole.
Or even $2.
Or even $2 in that case. Come on. He's doing it that way to invite new people in. He's making an effort to involve people, and you get people sitting around, well, I think this. Well, you know what? When you get to his level, you can have an opinion at the table. Right now, go back to the kids' table where you belong and stop talking with the adults because you don't understand the business or the industry behind it.
Speaking of the kids,
Well, no, Rob, don't be so harsh. We're here to teach them. We're here to give them an education, right? They just have to listen and learn for themselves.
But it's just a strike at the guy, like instantly. Oh, he talks too much. What's too much? This is an industry. You guys will watch the special features, watching actors talk about faking the scenes, but you still go. I don't see anyone stand up and go, "That's CGI. I don't believe anymore. This is fake." It's like wrestling. This is fake. No, it's not. Those guys are really going through that. Yes, it's scripted, but their bodies really go through that. I don't need an asshole telling me it's fake. You know what? So is football in a way. All those rules make it fake because they're not really hitting each other for the ball. They have to follow rules. So that's a crazy kid is on my arm. So you really got to decide what is real and what's not. But Randy's right. I just get excited when people try to talk about the industry without understanding anything about it and then throwing stones at people trying to make a difference.
And also, I think sometimes Peter doesn't talk enough about the real behind-the-scenes problems of the industry, because he has gone through some pretty nasty shit when it comes to having to deal with talent and having to deal with this distributors. And there's a reason behind, there's a reason, a logical reason in that business mind of Peter's why he does everything that he does. Because if I was him, I would be screaming right now at Diamond, and I would be screaming at some of this talent that decided that they wanted to tell him how to run his company. And I would be out there naming names and pointing fingers if I was Peter, but Peter's too classy of a guy to go out there and do that kind of thing.
Trico says, I love Rob's rants. He's like the Lewis Black of comics. Virtue Comics says kids can't afford $5 for a floppy. And Rebel Comics, the gamers that are having to deal with Captain Cummings.
Virtue Comics, that's very true. And you're slowly seeing that break apart. You know, DC's trying 100-page super spectacular for $4.99. Peter's also doing 80 to 100-page books for $4.99, just so he can try to get into a better situation with some of these retailers out there who think that his price schedule is way too low. Plus, you go into a Dollar Tree now, you can buy a Disney comic for $1.
Yeah,
that's a nice, slick production.
Do you guys think that the retailers, because I mean, there are people who won't carry certain books. Oh, I don't want any books from that guy. They're too cheap. I don't make enough money on it. The retail. I mean, I've heard people, comic shops owners, say that. Oh, I don't carry alternative. I don't make enough money on it.
Right.
I've heard some bitches say that it's on newsprint. I can't sell that amount. So nobody wants newsprint. What do you guys think about that? But before you answer that, in the private chat, I mentioned that I have to cut out early. So we could end the show early, or I can let Randy and Rob, I can let you guys handle it. That cool?
Yeah, I can run it.
All right, cool.
We can invite other people in if you.
Yeah, go ahead. I have to cut out early.
We can send you a link.
Yeah, I have to cut out early, but thank you, everybody. You can put the open chat up there. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And with me, I have to step out. I have an appointment to go keep. But I will be back. I'll keep everybody up to date.
What a crazy episode this one is, huh?
Yeah, this is weird. We're
just going to go merry-go-round and have all sorts of people in. This will be great.
Just tagging people in and out.
Yeah. All right, guys. You guys stay safe, stay healthy. I'll see you later. Don't beat up on Peter Cimenti too much. All right, I'll see you guys later.
Later, dude.
All right, Varian, you take care.
So what was the question he asked before he left? He totally derailed me.
I don't know. There's something about don't beat on Peter Samiti too much. But
All right. Yeah, I don't. So what else we got? What do we got?
what else we got? Anybody else out there got a question in the chat? Anybody wants to come in? Let me know. Marv, how you doing, buddy? I haven't gone up and read the comments yet. Trico, if you're in the house, you're probably working though. Joshua Perry's in the house. I see that. Thanks for joining, Josh.
So, Randy, what do you think about the fact that Walmart is putting the books in the wrong places? Do you think that's something we're going to see become a bigger issue, or do you think they're just going to keep their mouth shut and be happy they're in Walmart? Because if they're smart, they stick by that merchandising clause and they make them enforce it because it'll only help them because it'll look like they're paying attention.
Yeah, that's true. But the problems in Walmart's are isolated cases to the managers. If they're not putting the display in the right place, especially if they're under contract with Allegiance should have somebody that kind of gets those managers in line, because all of these merchandising contracts have to be pretty much followed to the letter. So, and that a lot of these guys are looking at it, and again, it's that mentality that we were talking about earlier. They're looking at it and going, funny books, those belong in the kids section. Instead of actually reading the merchandising contract or the instructions that they're getting from the main office. It's not a main office, it's an individual managerial problem that they're going to have to address. And it's just part of that mindset of some people out there who aren't into comics have a set idea of what comics are supposed to be and where they're supposed to be at and what pigeonhole they want to jam them into. It's a lazy mentality, but it's a Walmart manager, so.
Yeah, but I've been on the retail side. I know that you can get in a lot of trouble if this is enforced, and they should be. And I'm telling you right now, there are other companies out there that had, like Randy said, if they didn't have someone ready to travel or at least a fan base, all you have to do is ignite the fan base. Hey guys, do us a favor. Take a picture at your local Walmart. Where are we being displayed? That's enough. That's enough.
Yep.
And engage into your that's what I would do. I would have been like, guys, we're in Walmart. I need your help. I need to make sure Walmart's putting us in the right place, because our success is going to be determined by making sure this is merchandised right. And we're not in the kids' book section on top of children's reader books. I mean, if they pick up something like this is too violent for a kid. For the books that they're, you saw the picture in my local one. They're right above like early readers. We're talking low kindergarten and kindergarten books. Yep. And this is a great book, by the way. I read this and loved it. I was really, really, really thrilled. I don't like the paper quality. I'll be honest.
I love the paper quality.
I don't like.
I think that's great. It's exactly the opposite position as an Alterna book. It's nice. It's slick, and it's not cheap. That paper is not cheap. You can feel it. You can feel that it's not cheap.
It's not you know what I mean? Like, I as a comic book fan, it throws me because it does not feel like a comic, but it is more durable.
Yes.
My son spilt water on it. I have to go get new copies because my son first day he's with his mom, spills water all over the comics. My fault. I left it in a place he could do it. But look, it held up. And a normal comic will get destroyed by water.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Survive. So there's definitely definitely something awesome about it. So I really appreciate that.
And again, something else that everybody needs to look at, especially the independent and the alternative people, is really what makes up a comic. We've been dealing with a mindset since the 80s that comics are 32 pages, they're printed on pretty paper, they've got bright colors, but it's the same idea of who they make the comics for. Comics aren't their comics are meant for everybody. They're meant to be totally accessible, and yet the mainstream has had a narrow demographic that they've always aimed for the last 30 freaking years, until the last couple of years where they said, oh, I guess there's girls and there's minorities out there that read comics. When did this happen? Holy crap, we got to cater to that market. What makes up a comic? A comic doesn't have to be the same type of paper and the same type of format to fit the same kind of bag with the same kind of lousy backing board that goes on it with the supplies. Like I did the Flint Comics newspaper for the longest time out there for 10 years. I was moving 10,000 copies. It's got comics in it. It doesn't look like a comic book. It folds out like a regular newspaper. So what makes a comic? You know, anything that's got sequential art in it. Long time ago, not too long ago, back in our youth, they used to sell comics that they'd slide in the bottom of cereal boxes. You know,
Well,
What-
remember, even the action figures. Remember, He-Man started as a comic that became an action figure that became a comic again
yeah,
and became a cartoon series. It's crazy. Like, they put little comics in there to entice readers to explain He-Man, and they never used that story. But it's an amazing tradition. The comics have always done it. I mean, Will Eisner used comics to teach literal military how to maintain their vehicles and maintain their personal weapon.
sure. He did a lot of advertising work. That's part of the fun of what I do now. So, but yeah, what makes up a comic? The format needs to be quite frankly, every aspect of this art form needs to be questioned constantly. That's part of what makes it an art form. So if we want to do a smaller comic, if we want to do a slicker comic, if we want to do a newsprint comic, if we want to do a newspaper comic, everybody should do that. Get that out on the market and see if it's going to fly.
And
You know?
did you get the radio numbers? I'm getting this from Varian. Did you see those?
No, I don't know how to get the radio numbers.
No, he sent me a message.
Okay.
So Varian sent me a message that says we have 14,711 amazing listeners right now on Indie Vault Radio. And it comes from France as the top. I think he's Australia. He did AUS, so I'm assuming that's Australia.
It's either Australia or Austria. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Germany. I think it's Australia.
Probably Australia. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, 14,000 listeners we're in your ear, and we appreciate you.
We appreciate all of you, wherever you're listening to us from. So, and we're available for comments anytime you want to send in a comment. If you have a question about the comic sequential art industry, we would love to hear from you, especially if you're not in the States. We want to know what you're reading, what you're enjoying. Just let us know. Well, occasionally we get books over here. But the amount of stuff we get here from what you're reading is completely is like night and day. I'm looking for that address here. Let me pop that up. Please feel free to send us an email anytime at indievoltlive@indievolt.com. Make sure you include IndieVolt Live in the subject matter, and please keep those emails to 90 words or less, because Varian then types them in onto a card so that we can show them here to our listeners and discuss it properly. So please do that. Is there anyone else out there in the chat that wants to address anything?
I want to ask you a question. You know I do the daily debates, right?
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about these big Comic Cons now suddenly turning to social media and actually addressing us for the first time ever. Let's be honest, these big cons have never really talked to people on social media. Mm-hmm. They've been forced to lower a knee and actually begin to engage us. But their idea of engaging us is to try to sell us instantly. They're now doing these online hangout with a celebrity, like Zoom things. What do you think about that? What are your opinions on something like that? Do you think it's ethical? Do you think it's okay to try to cash in on fans now by charging them to be on a Zoom with someone? Is that? I mean, I believe in capitalism, so if you make your money, everyone's hustle's good. But
right.
Just as a fan, do you think that's something that turns you off, or you're like, no, I can see that, I'd enjoy that?
Well, again, it's kind of the Wild West, and you have to weigh, your priorities. I don't understand why anyone would pay to be on a Zoom chat when there's hundreds of other StreamYard and Zoom chats out there, or podcasts, that all you have to do is ask, and if you can catch the podcaster's ear, you can get on there and talk for an hour or two for free. So just look at the people that we've got. The quality of our guests have slowly started ramping up because we're talking about our numbers. Because we're reaching so many thousands of people. And how many people are the convention streamcasts hitting? Yeah. Is it really going to be worth that money in order to get that in, or are you just paying a con more money for some hopeful exposure? It's almost like, to me, it's almost like paying for a table at a show and then not knowing exactly where you're going to be on the floor.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because I've attended conventions where I've been sitting on the corner, and even though most of the people don't, I've been in alternative and independent comics pretty much all my life. And there's not a whole lot of people that know who I am. I'm not really a mainstream name, but I get crowds at those shows because I've got a unique product. Where there are other times where I'm at a show where I'm stuck in the middle of an aisle that it's a great big void, and I hardly, anybody that I catch coming by might look at my stuff, but unless you're coming there specifically to see me or have an autograph, which thankfully happens, pretty much maybe at least in this area, there's nobody there. You don't get those crowds. So how many people are you going to get by paying somebody to be on their Zoom chat? I don't know. I know we don't charge anybody to be on because we like having people on and talking to different people about their products and stuff. So
I almost feel like,
and most podcasts are like that.
Yeah, and I know that these big companies are hurting to make money, and I understand that. Like, I'm not stupid. You need money to keep your employees paid.
Yeah.
There's only so far these loans are going to go. Heart goes out to Reed Pop, who's lost now 3 shows. We don't even know. Like, they're potentially looking to lose New York Comic Con as Broadway is now closed until September. That's real close. Yeah. Until September 15th. You're talking about less a month than New York Comic Con. I'm sure that's a conversation because that's one of those shows like San Diego. We're going to hear about being canceled 2 or 3 months beforehand.
I thought Broadway was closed until the end of the year.
No, they said they're going to try and say, well, we will re-look at it in September.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
We don't know. Like, I mean, the kids up there are getting sick now, so like all bets are off. Now kids are getting sick. That's an incredibly small percentage, but it is happening. There's some sort of allergic reaction coming from somewhere that they haven't quite figured out yet. Remember severe rashes and heart problems. So. Remember, Randy, this all started as a very small little
Yeah, absolutely. And it could blow up into something bigger,
Yeah, we don't know anymore.
You never know. Not with this crap. No, you don't know.
Yeah, just wow. Like the times we live in where everything's upside down now.
Yep. And as a convention coordinator myself, I've had to bite losses twice now on 2 shows that I know I'm not going to make any income off of. So my income this year is going to be severely damaged. I can sympathize with those convention people, but as far as trying to charge somebody to be on their Zoom, that, I don't know who would fly with that. I mean, they might be able to find a few people that are willing to do that, but I can't see them making a large chunk of cash off of it.
Well, it almost feels like they're just going for the big whales, like the Vegas thing. Let's find the people who always had the biggest amount of money to spend, $500 to spend 10 minutes with Stallone and get an autograph. And maybe we'll be mailing you an autograph too. We don't know.
No.
I don't even understand the whole celebrity worship thing. There are people I've wanted to meet, but I always say it. I'd rather have a natural conversation with them. I like to get on a panel. I like going to a panel and asking them questions and having a back and forth and really getting to know them versus being in a line. I've only done the lines when it was for charity. When I know someone's going to donate money to charity, like there was an Orlando event that we had after the shootings, that was an Orlando charity event, and I went right away and I bought a celebrity package from Big Show and Steve Amell from Green Arrow. Got to see some really heartfelt panels, and that's for me. Panels have always been a big thing.
Yeah,
I love even down to this day. Like if Randy had a panel at a show and I could get away from my table, I'd go to Randy's panel because I want to learn. And you guys don't. You got to understand this. We talk about this a lot, especially Randy, and it's Randy's. I quote him on all my shows. Get an education, literally, and understand that education never stops. We're evolving right now. The industry is evolving.
Oh, this industry is evolving incredibly right now. It's an exciting time to be doing sequential art.
We started at the beginning of the year saying comics are dead. Now suddenly we're seeing everyone was fucking wrong. Comics will not die. Comics is proving that no matter what, they're going to find a way back up. Whether Diamond comes with us, whether Marvel comes with us, we're all going up. And credit to DC. DC has been amazing during this. They have had to slow production. We understand that, but they never gave up. They never stopped, and they found another distribution. They did everything they could to continue creating, and that I will never forget. As a fan, I'll never forget that, but I will remember Marvel gave up on us.
It's really amazing. In my opinion, they have more creativity in their marketing department than in a lot of their editorial work and their actual production department.
But I
So-
also think that we're getting bigger conversations now that they're forced to listen to us now. It's amazing. They're actually coming onto our streams. We're getting professional creators come hang out. They're doing YouTube shows. We're able to
Yeah.
ask them questions.
Yep.
It's an amazing time. They've finally been taken off of their pedestals.
Well, and that's why the cons are going online as well. Only it might not work out the way that they expect, because there's been podcasters up here for 2-3 years that have that big of a jump on them.
Yeah,
And you do need that big of a ramp up sometimes to know what you're doing.
that'd be like listening to monster car racing on the radio.
Mhm.
Oh, you see that car? That car was awesome. It went by us real quick. People are going to be like, what? Like, even listening to football on the radio is hard, right? Like, you want to see it, and it's just different. And I've said it, when we did GarageCon, it was always meant to showcase creators and keep people entertained. Everything which became OnCon is about entertaining you guys as the fans, because I know that you're home. I know it's stressful. I know it's weird, and we're not getting what we have. So we want to touch base with you guys. And that's why I always tell people to come to Indie Vault. Indie Vault is one of the better programs on. And they are before, and they will be here after this goes down.
Yeah. And it's sad to say, but this pandemic is really pumping our numbers really hard. And hopefully we keep that audience rolling.
Well, I think you're earning it. Because you're the voice of reason.
Well, we've been out for more than a year also, so we've had time to ramp up and get a program running together, and hopefully become more familiar with talking to the microphone, even though lately I seem to be stammering more. So.
But no, you guys do an excellent job of bringing up the controversial and even bringing me on now with Varian wanting me to cover the bad spots of the industry, and we're doing it with class. We're not just putting out slander. We're being very careful. Me and you've been in the conversation when we talked about this. We have to do it the right way, because you do it the wrong way once and it's over. So you have to be very cautious on how we're giving you guys these stories and talking about these, and you're the only ones doing it.
But at the same time, there's bad spots out there too that need to be pointed at.
Yeah. But you guys bring it up. You let them come on your show. You have the conversation that no one's having in the industry.
Right.
Because in this industry, it's like, I hate to say it, but it's the boys club. And the boys club is always about, shh, don't tell anyone. And that needs to be broken down now, because that's gatekeeping. That's another way
That's
to
true.
And I give this show credit as being the show that breaks the gates down.
We try. And thanks, Rob.
You're welcome.
Anybody else out there in the chat want to talk about anything?
He wanted to come in.
Who, what?
Larry wanted to come in, I think.
Did he? I didn't see it. Not that
He
I've
said,
been.
where is the link? Dave Brown said good morning.
Morning, Dave. Trico Marv, I see you in there. Larry, I see
Trico
Dave
said
Brown.
that there's probably a planogram that shows where the displays should go, and the Walmart department managers aren't following it. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And what they need to be told is that this is an agreement, and that agreement comes with a penalty. Because being a retail background, when you set these up, if you don't put up an end cap in the right place, that store can get fined, actually. And that money goes to the actual company that has entered into that arrangement. And I think it's really they didn't take this serious. And that's up to unfortunately, like we were saying earlier, it's up to them to enforce this.
So, hey, everybody out there, go out to your local Walmart and take a look where that point of purchase display is for Allegiance Arts. It's a nice red rack with, I believe it's 4 open slots.
4. If I'm remembering, I have a photographic memory. I think it was 4.
Yeah.
It's about a 4.5 foot display. It's sitting in front of electronic. I can show you where it was at my store. I actually think I just posted it on Facebook. I'll bring it up so we can show.
Eric posted a video not too long ago showing his local Walmart. They had it tucked over in the corner, sitting on the floor.
Hudson?
Leaned up against magazines right next to an electronics display case. So
all right, let me see. He's got his. He has success. I'm looking for his. You said it was like a live video?
Yeah, I'd have to finagle it.
I can look it up.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
I don't know if we displayed that on Tuesday's program or not, but anyway, and regardless, if you don't see it in the right spot, let Allegiance know. They have a website.
Yeah.
Send them a picture and say, hey, my local Walmart's doing this, and let them take it up with corporate, who will go around and kick managerial's butt and tell them where to put that point of purchase display.
Yeah.
So that's a thing you need to do. But also in the meantime, keep your eyes peeled because you never know where comics are going to pop up next. They're at the Dollar Tree now, which is cool. Peter Cimetti was talking about doing some sort of newsprint comic, black and white comic for $1 and making it nice and thick and throwing it in there so that people, especially right now, because money's tight for everybody, to go in and buy some inexpensive entertainment for their kids to read. I think that would be incredibly cool to do. I loved the Showcase Presents, and the Essentials that Marvel and DC used to kick out. That had 25 issues worth of material, real thick manga style newsprint book for $16 to $20. Those books were incredible. I wish they had never stopped them, especially DC, because there's so much stuff that they could reprint.
All right, Randy, I got the video for you. We'll mute it because I'm not sure if he's saying anything he didn't want publicly shared.
Yeah.
Trico sent this to me.
Okay.
But here we go. If you want to share the video.
Let me add that to the screen. There we are. Yep.
There we go. All right, so this is where he found it at his local thing. You see there's the clearance section. So these books are put right in front of a clearance section.
Yeah.
And
look at that rack. That's a messy rack. That's not a very well managed store to start with. Somebody's not merchandising that store very well. Look at the empty spaces there.
Oh my goodness, this is horrific.
If I was a district manager, I'd be kicking somebody's butt.
All right, let's see. Was it 3 or 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4.
Yeah, it's 4. It's 4 levels. Yeah.
There, I'm gonna stop it so you guys know what to look for.
And again, if you see, there's slot there for 2 books on each shelf, so there's room for another 4 titles. If these 4 go over well.
Yeah, and this helps the entire industry. This is us getting into it. And they're doing it by season. For those who don't know, that's they even announced in the back of the book the next season. I'll even tell you right now, the next season will be July 7th. So right after July 4th, you guys will be able to get your next copies. And I've only read Bass Reeves so far, but I'm really impressed by Bass Reeves. And we had the artist on, right?
Yes, we did. Yeah, he was working on an awesome 2-page spread for either probably for 3 or 4. For issue 3 or 4. Really sweet looking art.
And this is a quality product that's just being treated like shit.
Well, for now it is. Again, we're dealing with that old mindset, like I keep saying. A lot of these managers up there, they open their box, they see it's comics, they don't even see the point of purchase display. It's just a piece of cardboard to them. They're in a hurry. They're dealing with everybody's dealing with crap right now because of this mess. They open it up. They said, "Oh, this is funny books. Put this in the kids section." They slide it to their minimum wage flunky, who goes out and sticks it on a shelf.
Yeah, but remember those minimum wage flunkies? They're the ones who are essential workers. Right?
They are the essential workers right now, but they have a lot more to worry about than where they're going to put the funny books. You know what I'm saying?
I was in retail. I don't think that you just from my retail background, because I was a manager and a pretty high up manager. There's no such thing as you have. During September 11th, which I would say was a pretty bad time. It didn't last as long as this is lasting, but that was pretty bad. We still did our job.
Yeah,
this is still your job. Like, don't make an excuse. Like, look what they did at my local store. That is insulting. Just insulting to my core. Mm-hmm. I see this and I cringe. This is like you have a kid's book, Captain Under. Like, these comics are not the same.
Right.
I mean, when is it going to stop, Randy? When are we going to be seen as something that
Walmart video, Rob? Yeah. Well, like I said, it takes a bit of education on everybody's part. That's all. It might take another week. It might take a month until the district managers get around and go, "Holy crap. What did you do with this display? God damn it. Move it over here," you know?
And that's why I keep trying to talk about it.
Marvi says the U.S. must invade Portugal so I can have physical comics. Shipping problem solved. He says, yeah, it's rough to ship to Portugal.
I'm sorry to hear that. That is bad.
I've read the Allegiance comics except for Bass Reeves so far, and they're awesome. Great storytelling, Trico says.
Now, the whole thing about this being Comic Skid, I do want to address that real quick, and I want to get Randy's opinion on this. And we've talked about this a couple times. The people going around going, "Oh, but you're supporting Comic Skate." I want you to understand this is a moment that's bigger. I don't care if Dirk Manning is on that show.
Oh, you mean buying the Allegiance Arts books? Yeah.
I don't care if Dirk Manning was one of those books. I'd buy it right now. I don't care if Marcel Dupree was one of the ones, and he doesn't fulfill any books. I'd be amazed that a book was fulfilled to Walmart. I would buy that book. This is a moment to shut your mouth and support the industry that you say you love and want to be part of. I'm so tired of everyone having an opinion and not supporting us when it matters. This is a moment that matters for us creators.
Well, I'm so tired of people having an opinion and not having enough knowledge or education to back up that opinion intelligently.
Yep.
And they really need to go through and buy these books and take a look at them and then tell me what's wrong with them that makes them so despicable because the guy is CG. And again, they need to go out there and get an education as to what CG actually is too. So it's not what everybody is crying about. It's a lot different than folks. There are bad apples in every field. There's too much dogma in this business right now, in my opinion. And you really need to get out there and explore comics of all kinds and look at everything. See what they're doing right. Because these guys, you know, you might be anti-CG out there, but these guys are making bank. And you have to go out there and figure out, if you want to make a living, figure out what they're doing that's right and figure out what they're doing that's wrong. I mean, I'm in awe of Coffin Comics. I'm in total awe. I don't necessarily agree with their content, but I am in awe of their business model. He's obviously doing something right and very right. So he needs to be looked at. You need to read his stuff. Need to find out what's going on. You know, there is so much available capital out there, and so little has been focused on for so many decades, that it's time that we blow sequential art out, comics out in every form we can, in every way we can, in every hole we can, in order, well, you know what I mean, in every direction that we can, in order to get sequential art out there to the masses. Because that's honestly, that's where the imagination is. That's where the whimsy should be. That's where we ought to be stirring kids up at, instead of patronizing or propaganding them. So,
yeah, it's all meant to divide us. And if you guys got to wake up and stop being sheep, just do it. Figure it out. Go out there and understand that there's a bigger world out there than just because you don't agree with everyone's necessary politics. Maybe you don't even understand their politics. What did you think of the definition I gave? The quick definition of comic sheets. That's my usual quick definition.
Which is what?
Well, remember when you heard a couple minutes ago where I talked about how it's these people who got kicked out of comics in the mainstream because of their political beliefs. They had to go out and do something different. They had to make something new. Right. And that's what they did. And were they perfect? No. Were there things that got said? The war campaign, it does something. That does cause problems, yes. But they are just a group of people. There's some really down-to-earth people in that Comicsgate community that have no hate in their at all. And even in their DNA, they don't hate anything. They just want classic storytelling that does not cater to one audience, but caters to all audiences. And, you know.
Well, unfortunately, every movement like this has an evolution. And every evolution kind of narrows that movement down to what the core of what it really is. And there have been some bad turns that have been labeled as Comicsgate that are no longer recognized as Comicgate. There's a right-wing movement. And yeah, you know, there have been some white supremacists out there that were trying to do comics that labeled themselves as Comicsgate. And they aren't associated with the main Comicsgate body. There are people out there that want to push their religious views just as hard as other people want to push their political views that aren't recognized as being Comicsgate. You know, really, Comicsgate is just out there to make a good, entertaining product for the masses. And that's really the key, is they're out there to attract, just like what we've been saying before, out there trying to reach out in as many different directions as they can in order to attract the largest audience possible. And that's where a lot of their money is coming from. A lot of their money is coming from people that read comics 20, 30, 40 years ago, even 40 years ago, that stopped because they didn't like the quality of the product. For whatever reason, for one reason or another. And that are now slowly coming back through crowdfunding. And crowdfunding right now is making millions of dollars. And all that money is going directly to the creator. And in turn, they're turning around and making more product.
And if you're going to call Comicsgate racist, and you're going to call them this group that's hate, explain this to me. Seriously, send me a message. Explain when they had an opportunity to put out 4 books.
Well, in my opinion, we need to get past these labels and just keep making great product.
Yes,
And that's great, solid product.
yeah, and you need to just stop. And as Randy said it, and Varian said it, and I said, stop spreading rumors. Just because you heard some online, don't make it true. And that's what it is. You get a lot of these people who, and I've had fights with my friends because I'm not Comicsgate, but I have no problem with Comicsgate people, and I have friends who are them. There are certain things I disagree with some of the Comicsgate stuff, especially the having to join a group. I'm just too rebellious to join a group. But, if you put me in a room and said you have to go SJW or Comicsgate, before you finish saying Comicsgate, I would be on Comicsgate's side. Because when you give 2 choices like that, I see Comicsgate as the one that's more encompassing and more opening to people, because I've never had a Comicsgate person try to threaten me. I've had them curse at me, but anyone will curse at me. I've been threatened by social justice warriors, the other side. And here's the difference, kids. You really want to know what the huge difference is? This is why everyone's mad at Comicsgate. They had the mindset, the know-how to create something that is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's making money. The other side could never do that. You want to know why?
It's not just making money. They're gaining followers. They're gaining contributors with every campaign, more and more contributors. So
yeah,
it's really interesting to see their growth.
Yeah, and the other side is still fighting with each other. They can't get anything together. They can't figure out any movement to be part of because they're against each other.
I heard a great slogan the other day, and I like to use it now as often as possible. Hating ain't creating.
Yep.
It's that simple. If you're out there hating on people, if you're out there trolling on people, you're not creating something positive. And you really, especially this industry, needs as much positivity and as much great creation as they can possibly get their hands on. And it's time that we as an industry got up off our ass and started showing off a lot of that creativity. And that's quite frankly, that's what I think you're seeing in a lot of these directions. And a lot of them are aligned with the CG movement. So you better get used to it because they're not going away.
No.
So if you can't beat them, which obviously you can't because you've been trying the last 2 years really bad, you better think about joining.
You know what bothers me about it, Randy? There are people that and they're famous names that have associated with Comicsgate. And Chuck Dixon famously is one of those names, right? Everyone loved Chuck Dixon down here. Everyone talks so highly about him. I moved down here and everyone's like, you got to know Chuck Dixon. And I heard the name in passing, of course, casually because he's part of comics. Mm-hmm. But I got to know him and all that. And then suddenly he came out as Comicsgate and everyone turned their back on him. How could you be a fan of someone and not be interested in what Comicsgate is? Yep. Oh, wait, your friend told you it was bad. Do you know how many people now come to me on a weekly basis asking me what Comicsgate is? Because they no longer believe what is out there. They don't believe what their friends are saying because they're seeing people they respect go to Comicsgate, and they're suddenly like, wait a minute, maybe there's something here I don't understand. And it's coming. They're figuring it out. Like he said, War Campaign is it's the Beavis and Butthead of it, of that particular group. But everyone's got them. Everyone's got those moments. Yeah. We have Varian who sometimes tells bad jokes. We all have that person in our group. And yes, they cross lines. Everyone has said that they cross lines, and they've gotten in trouble, from my understanding, for crossing those lines from the higher ups within that. I'd like to see them actually organize and make a publishing company. I think that would be awesome.
I think it's coming.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome.
Yep. All right, we are looking at 5 minutes too. We should probably think about pulling up and moving on. Before we leave, let us know what you think. Indie Volt Live at indievolt.com. Please include Indie Volt Live in the subject matter, and please keep those emails to 90 words or less. But also, please give us an email. Let us know how we're doing. You can listen online now at indievolt.com. There is indievolt.com normally plays great alternative music, independent alternative music, when we're not yammering in their ears. And everyone out there in Indie Volt Radio, we do appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you so much for listening. You can get that also on the app on Google Play and the app, I believe, on Streama, or they are available on Streama. Also, Indie Volt TV is available on your Roku box, right there next to Slingplex and Pluto. So feel free to tap into that. A lot of indie, independent movies, a little bit of wrestling, I believe, and maybe even some of us here eventually, if not already. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for listening. Thanks, Rob, so much for coming on. Sorry, this has been one for the record books, I would think, as we been rolling a round table around. Pops Van Zant says maybe people should just drop the hate. My group's not had a single issue about CG or SJW problem. People can be cool. If it to be part of something they want to be a part of. That's the real cool thing. That's the key thing. Marv says, advocate. Leave your YouTube channel link on my Twitter. Marv Artwork. Marv is from Portugal. We've had him on a couple times, and we love his input. Thanks, Marv. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Trico. Thanks, Dave. Take care, Marv. Take care, guys. Be safe. Be safe, guys. That's the best thing we can tell you. Thanks again for listening, everyone. We are going to move along now. So,
and thanks for bearing with us with all the stuff this morning.
It's been a crazy morning. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you being there.
And make sure to subscribe to the channel on YouTube for Indie Volt.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Talk to you soon. We are going to be back on the air. I believe tonight there's a special edition of Geekgasm that Lola will be running. I think she's got a couple of guests lined up for a special edition of Geekgasm again tonight. Then on Friday, we will be back on with The Art of War, where we'll have a few artists get together and draw some stuff all while they're talking the business. And then Tuesday evenings at 9 p.m., we are on with the regular Indie Volt podcast. And then again, Thursday mornings at 9 a.m., and those times are Eastern Standard Time, wherever you're listening throughout the world, for the Breakfast Buzz once again. All right, everybody, you guys take care. Stay safe. We appreciate you all. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. As soon as I find the proper out here. Oh, no.
Let us out! Let us out!
Oh, we're stuck here forever. I think this is it.
Yay! Think about what you've accomplished.
Apparently not.
Oh, wow. What did I accomplish today?
Think about what you've accomplished. All right, take care. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
They're closing?
Yes, next Tuesday.
Okay, the last thing I want to be when the end of the world comes is sober.
Wonder Woman. Whoops.
We're still alive.